Hi, Kylie. This is Domek, and I'm going to go over this page with you on dividing hundredths. I know this can get confusing sometimes, but I'm glad you reached out and helped. On page 21, I had said in my video that we can skip that, and Mr. Miller knows that, and it's okay with him. So let's take a look at this, and I'm just going to use this line to show the division box, okay? So this is going to be division. And then when we read this, it says 1. So 1 goes in the box divided by 0.25, okay? All right, so set your paper up like this to look like this, or if you're doing it on scrap paper, that's fine too. All right, so remember that when we have a whole number, we can always bring a decimal point to it because it's at the very end. But when we need it, we can put it there. So this one is the same thing as this one, okay? That's the same thing. So we need to put a decimal there because there's a decimal in the divisor. And with dividing decimals, we can never have a decimal in the divisor. That's the one rule we have to remember. So what we're going to do here is move that decimal point to the end to make it a whole number. So now, instead of the decimal number 2500ths, excuse me, we have the decimal 25. We have the whole number 25, okay? So the rule, though, says that whatever we do to the divisor, we have to come over and do here. So we have to add zeros because we need 2 more places so that we can move that decimal. So we're going to add a 0 here, and we're going to add a 0 here. Okay, we added those, and now we can move this decimal over 2 places, just like we did over here. All right, so this is really saying how many 25s are in 100, okay? So you could think of money, how many quarters are in $1, but let's take a look and go through the steps. All right, so 24 into 1. Well, 25 won't go into 1, okay? So now look at 10. Will 25 go into 10? No, it's not big enough. Can we make a group of 25 out of 10? No. So now if we have 100, can we make groups of 25? And if you were to put 100 tallies down and every 25 make a group, you would end up here with 4 groups. Just like 4 quarters are in $1. So now, in order to complete our division, we come over here and we multiply. 4 times 5, okay, we're multiplying here. 4 times 5 is 20. Put down our 0, carry our 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Okay, now we know we're done because there's nothing left to bring down. It's a 0. Now you can bring up the decimal point or leave it at 4. 4 is the same as 4 decimal point. All right, another way you could have done this, and you do what's easiest for you, is you could have taken that 25 and multiplied by 4 because that's what we're doing. And then 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 100. And you bring that 100 over here and subtract. Okay? So the answer to the first one is 4. All right, let's look over at this one. Here we have, it says 4 divided by 0.25. Oops, that's a 0. 0.25. All right. So because there's a decimal over here, we have to put a decimal over here. Okay? So, all right. So I was going to, okay, that's what I was going to say. 4 point is the same as just 4, okay? So we've got 4 divided by 0.25. Now remember, we can never have a decimal in the divisor. So we have to move the divisor over to the end of the number, okay? All right, so whatever we do here, we have to do here. So we're going to add 2 zeros because we have to move it 2 places. 1, 2, so we have to move this one 1, 2, okay? So now we can do this division. I'm going to make this clear, that's a 0. Okay, so now we have 400 divided by 25. How many groups of 25 are in 400? So if you were to make 400 tally marks, and then go through and count 25 and make a group, and then count 25 and make a group, and then keep on going, you would end up with how many groups? That's what we're trying to find out, okay? So let's look here. Will 25 go into 4? No. But will 25 go into 40? Yes, we know that 25 will go into 40. We can get at least one, we can get only one group of 25. So if you were to draw 40 tally marks and make a circle of 25 around 25 tally marks, that's one group. And then you still have 15 more, but you can't make another group until you put 10 more tally marks there. Okay? So now we're going to multiply 1 times 25 is 25. Okay, now we're going to subtract. All right, so we cannot take 5 from 0. We can't have 0 and take 5 away. So we have to borrow here, make this a 3, and now make this a 10. Now 10 take away 5 is 5. And 3 take away 2 is 1. I think we're just going to do every other column or every other row of these, so because we're running into this row, and that's fine. All right, so we've got 15. Now we have a 0 that we can bring down. Okay, so now you have to decide how many 25s are in 150. Well, this you can use, you can guess and check. So come over here and let's see. We know that there are 4 25s in 100. So 2 more 25s would give you 50. So let's try 6. All right, 6 times 5 is 30. Put down your 0, carry your 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. All right? So we know that there are 6 groups of 25 in 150. So we know that 6 times 25 is 150. Okay? There you go. All right? So there are 16 groups. Remember we said if we drew 400 tallies and then circled every 25, you would end up circling 16 groups of 25. Okay? All right, let's move on. And let's take a look at this one. Now, this one's a little tricky. So I'm going to just change the color here. Let's see, let's go with green. All right, so this says 3.75 divided by 0.25. All right, so we're going to put the 3.75 in here. Okay. Divided by 0.25. All right. So, what do you remember about decimals in the divisor? We can't have them there, right? So we have to move this decimal over to the end of the number and make it 25. And our rule is whatever we do over here, we have to do over here. Okay? So now we've really got how many 25s are in 375. So just like over here, if we drew 375 tallies, remember what tally marks are. They look like this. If we drew 375 of those, then, excuse me, and we circled every 25 tally marks, we're finding out how many groups of 25 we would circle. So let's look at this. How many 25s are in 3? Well, 25 won't go into 3. You can't make a whole group of 25 out of 3 tally marks. So let's go to this number, 37. Well, if we had 37 tally marks, could we make a group of 25? Yes, we could make one group. Okay? So 1 times 25 is 25. Subtract that. 7 take away 5 is 2. 3 take away 2 is 1. And bring down our 5. All right. So how many 25s are in 125? Well, we know that there's 4 in 100 and 6 in 150. So I think we're safe to say 5 here. So you can either write it out like this to find out what you get. 25 times 15 I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. No, 25 times 5. I knew I was doing something wrong. Okay. 25 times this 5. We will get 5 times 5 is 25. And 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 125. Okay. All right, there we go. So this is 5. Now, if you wanted to check the whole thing, you could do 25 times 15. And when you do all that work, you would get 375. But we're taking it in steps. All right. So I'll give you a minute to look at that and catch up with that. And then we'll go on to this row. We're going to skip 4, 5, and 6. And that's okay with Mr. Miller. Okay? All right, so when I go to move my page up, I'm going to lose all this work, but it should stay on your screen. All right, well, let's take a look here now. Number 7, 1.8 divided by 0.09. So we've got 1. Oops, where's my marker? Okay, we're going to make our box. Okay, 1.8 goes in the box. Oops, 0.09 goes outside. Okay, now remember, we cannot have a decimal point in the divisor, so we're going to move it 2 places. So we're going to move it to the end because now we have the number 9, okay? And here we have to move this decimal point over the same number of places. So here we're going to move it. Here's 1, and then here's 2. So we just need to have 1 0 in there, okay? Because it was 1, 2 decimal point, and then move it 1, 2 decimal point. All right, so now we have how many 9s are in 180. So if we have just 1, we can't make a group of 9 out of that. So that would just be 0. Okay? Now we're going to go to how many 9s are in 18. Actually, you don't need to put this 0 in, guys. Or Kylie, you don't need to put that 0 in because this is now really just 9. Okay, how many 9s are in 18? 2. 2 times 9 is 18. And then we'll bring down our 0. How many 9s are in 0? Okay, if we have nothing, we can't make a group of 9, but we have to put the answer here. And the answer is 0, so we get 20. So it's very important that we, even though we have a 0 here, we can't just ignore it, because if you didn't put the 0 here, it would be 2. And there are not 2 9s in 180. There are 20 9s in 180. And you can multiply 20 times 9, 20 times 9, and you'll see that you get 9 times 0 is 0, 9 times 2 is 18. Okay? All right. All right, let's look at 8. We're going to make our box. Okay? We have 225, so that's going to go here. 225 divided by 75. All right. Now you can see that there are no decimals in this number, so we don't have to move anything. It's just a straight question of you had 225 tallies, and then you went through and counted 75, counted another 75. How many groups of 75 would we end up with? All right, so on these, because 75 won't go into 2, 75 won't go into 22, it's 75 into 225. All right, now's when we're going to use our guess and check, okay? So let's just see how many 75s are in 225. So we're just going to guess a number. We'll start with 5. Okay, 5 times 5 is 25. Put down your 5 and carry your 2. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 375. All right, you can see that that is too high. So we're not going to use 375. We have to go down. So let's go to 75. Let's try 3. Okay. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry our 1. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 2 is 225. Okay. So you can see that on these big numbers, you will have to do some multiplication of guessing and checking, but that's okay. So we're going to go here and put a 3 over here, because 75 is going into 225 3 times. All right, so we've already done the math. 3 times 75, that's down here. 225, we can just fill that in. And we've got our answer. There are 3 groups of 75 in 225. All right? All right, now let's see how our answer is different when we have some decimals there. Okay, I'm going to change the color because of not wanting to run into this over here. So we have 22.5 divided by 7.5. All right, so look at this. We have to move our decimal point. 7.5, we have to move this decimal point to the end. Whatever we do here, we have to do here. Okay? So now look what we're left with. We're left with 225 divided by 75. And we already know the answer to that one. We just did it. It's 3. 3 times 75 is 225. Okay. All right. But that is how we do that with decimals. We move the decimal point over. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at 13. I'm going to erase this because I have to move up my my sheet. Okay. And mine erases. I don't know why mine won't stay, but it doesn't. All right, so we are now on 13. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to divide this. So we have 36.36 divided by 0.06. All right, so why don't you give this a try? I'll give you a couple minutes and then I will go over it with you. All right, so we remember that we cannot have a decimal in the divisor. So we move it over and we just get the number 6. And then we remember that the rule is whatever you do to the divisor, you have to do to the dividend. So we have to move this decimal over 2. And now we have 3,636. And now we're going to divide. So how many, if I had tallies of 36, all right, first off, let me just show you. 6 won't go into 3. Okay, so we're not going to have an answer over that 3. Okay, if we have 3, we can't make a group of 6 out of this. So there's not going to be an answer over the 3. Okay, now we go to 36. So if we had tallies of 36 and we circled 6, we would find out how many groups that we had. Now, you can also use your multiplication chart to do this. This is multiplication and division are related. So if you can't figure out the division, use your multiplication to help you. So we can say 6 times what is 36. So look on your chart and see what 6 times what is 36. And you would have find 6. Okay, if you have 36 tallies, you could make 6 groups of 6. All right, so 6 times 6 is 36. Oops. Oh dear. All right, so we subtracted that and got 0, but we have to bring down our 3. All right, and now we're dividing again. So if we have 3 tallies, can we make a group of 6? No, we can't, but we have to put an answer here. We can't just ignore it and bring down the next 6. So will 6 go into 3? No, so we have to put the number that represents no. So now we're going to multiply. 0 times 6 is 0. Now we're going to subtract. 3 take away 0 is 3. Now we bring down our 6 and we have 36. And it's just like here. How many groups of 6 can you make in 36? You can make 6. So our answer is 606. All right. Let's look at this one. We're going to make our division box. 9 divided by 2.25. So we're going to have a 9 in here. and then we're going to have 2.25. All right, I want you to try that one, and then I'll check it with you. All right. So we know that we cannot have a decimal here. Let me change the color. So we have to move it to the end of the number. Okay? And we ended up moving it 2 spots. So we have to come over here and add zeros to make our 2 spots that we move this decimal over. Okay? Oops. All right. So now we have the number 900 divided by 225. So this is just going to be a guess and check. Oops. 225. Okay, what's happening here? 225. And let's try 4. So 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 2, so we put down our 0 and carry our 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Put down our 0, carry our 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. We get 900. So our answer here, and it has to go here to show that 225 goes into 900. You can't put the 4 here because you can't, if you have 9, make a group of 225. If you have 90, you can't make a group of 225. That's why it's very important that you put your answer over the second 0, 900. So 4 times 225, we already did the work, is 900. Oops, I don't know what's happening to this. All right, and then we subtract and we get zeros, so we're done. All right, Miss Kylie, we've got one more. So we're going to make our box, and I'm going to change the color because it's going to run into our work there. All right, so let's change it. So we have 13.5 divided by 2. Oops, oh my goodness, I just made it. Oh, hold on. No, it's not going back. All right, I'm going to have to erase this and come back to this problem. Okay, here we go. I'm back. I don't know what happened there, but it shouldn't have erased yours. That's the important thing. All right, so let's make this box. This is our division box. All right, so we have 13.5, 13.5 divided by 2.25. Okay, all right. So if you looked at those numbers without the decimal, well, you couldn't have 135 tally marks and make a group of 225. But because these are decimals, we can. So let's take a look. We are going to move this decimal over 2 places. And then we know that here, whatever we do in the divisor, we have to do in the dividend. So we are going to move it over here and put a 0 there. So now we have 1,350 divided by 225. So 225 won't go into 1, it won't go into 13, it won't go into 5. So we need to find out how many are in 1,350, and we're going to guess and check. 225. Let's see. Why don't we start in the middle first and try 5. 5 times 5 is 25. We know that that's not going to be it because it ends in a 0. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. Well, we're close. We're not there yet. So let's go up to 25. Let's try 6. All right, so 6 times 5 is 30. Oops. Put down your 0, carry your 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So 1,350. So we know that there are 6 groups of 225 in 1,350. So when we multiply those two, we get 1,350, and that is our answer. All right. These are all zeros. I hope that helped, Kylie. Don't worry about doing just 9 problems. It's perfectly fine with Mr. Miller. And this is a skill that we will go over again next year, so you'll get this again. All right. I hope you are staying safe, and I will see you later. And if you have trouble on any page, reading or math, just tell your mom, and she can dojo me or text me, and I can go over it just like I did today. All right. Bye-bye.